Hi everyone, my name's Samantha Kulish-Fargione and I am the Executive Director here at the Weston Historical Society. Thanks for joining us for another History from Home Kids Corner video. Don't forget, once you're done watching today's video, you can download a fun activity. You can find it on our website, westonhistoricalsociety.org. It's on the History from Home Kids Corner page. What was it like to go to school over 100 years ago? How might your school look back then? Or what school supplies might you have used? Or what do you think your school subjects were like? Well, we are going to learn about that today. You see, back over 100 years ago, schools would not have had electricity or computers or smart boards or battery-run anything. And your schoolhouse would have been a one-room schoolhouse. That means that there was only one classroom inside the school. And students of all different ages, all the way from 5 years old to 16 years old, would be learning together in the same classroom. I have a few photographs to show you of one-room schools that were right here in Weston. This is the Valley Forge one-room schoolhouse. It was located in the Valley Forge neighborhood of Weston. Now, this photograph was taken over 109 years ago, back around 1911. You might notice that a one-room schoolhouse is fairly small, probably much smaller than your school today. And look at the children. They are of all different ages. Now, this next photo is the inside of another one-room schoolhouse, the Upper Parish School. And that was located on Godfrey Road, right here in Weston. Now, you might notice that the classroom is not very big. There are children of all different ages, and there's only one school teacher. That's right. One teacher taught all the children in that one classroom. Now, the Upper Parish School and the Valley Forge School weren't the only one-room schoolhouses in Weston back then. How many one-room schoolhouses do you think Weston had? Well, if you guessed 7, you are correct. This map shows us where all 7 of the one-room schoolhouses were located in Weston. Now, this map is from 1867. Now, you might notice that all 7 schools are not located in the same area. They're spread out all over town. Now, why might that be? What do you think? Well, back at this time, there were no cars, there were no buses. So children had to walk to school. So that's why schools were located all over town. So that way, children didn't have to walk too far to get to school. What subjects did children learn in a one-room schoolhouse? Well, the same skills and subjects that you learn today. They learned how to read, write, spell, do math. Why, even some one-room schoolhouses offered lessons in geography and science. Now we're going to take a look at some of the school supplies that children used in one-room schoolhouses. These are examples of the types of school books that children would have used in a one-room schoolhouse back in the 1800s and early early 1900s. Now, unlike the colorful and bright and cheery school books and workbooks that you have at your school, well, these were a bit different. So let's take a closer look at them. This book here is a word book, or what we might call today a spelling book or a reading book. And I'm going to very carefully open it because it is very old. And you will see that the book is filled with lists of words. And these words children had to learn how to read and spell. Now you're noticing that there are no colorful pictures in this book. It's very plain, printed in black and white. This book is an arithmetic book, what we would call today a math book. And it's very similar to the word book, where it is filled with arithmetic problems. And once again, there aren't many pictures. It's not colorful at all. It's a very plain book. But these were the types of books that children would have used back then. Now, students didn't write inside of these books. All right, they would copy the math problems out, or they would copy their words out onto something called a slate. And this is a slate. This is basically a piece of stone. Slate is stone. And the children would use chalk or something called a slate pencil to write with. And this is where they would copy out the problems from their school books. Now, they also would write on paper, just like all of you write on paper at your school. And you all might have a notebook that you write in. Well, children back then also had notebooks. They like to call them copybooks because a lot of times they were copying sentences, words, word problems into their notebooks. Now, this is an example of an advanced student, probably in high school, and this is her copybook. Now, if you notice, she has very neat handwriting, and she is writing, or she wrote, in cursive or script. And we're going to learn a little bit more about handwriting. Handwriting, or penmanship, was a skill that children practiced every day in a one-room schoolhouse. Students who went to school back in the 1700s and the early 1800s would have used a quill pen to write with. This is a picture of a quill pen. It's simply a feather plucked from a goose or a turkey. The stem of the quill is then cut down to a point. See the point? And that's how you're going to write. You're going to dip that point of the quill into ink. Now, children who went to school in the later part of the 1800s and in the early part of the 1900s would have used a dip pen. Now, this is a picture of a dip pen, and it worked just like a quill pen. The only difference was that the dip pen was made out of wood and the point was made out of metal. But in order to write with it, you still had to dip it in ink. Students were taught how to write in print, and they were taught how to write in cursive. Now, cursive allows you to connect letters as you're writing words, which would make it easier when children were writing with a quill pen or a dip pen. Now, children worked tirelessly on perfecting their cursive handwriting. You see, without computers or typewriters at that time, they needed to have and practice very good handwriting skills. They would make or buy little notebooks called copybooks, just like the one that we saw earlier. And in those notebooks, they would practice their cursive handwriting, copying out sentences from books. Now it's time for you to practice cursive handwriting. Imagine that you are going to school in a one-room schoolhouse over 100 years ago. So visit our website, westonhistoricalsociety.org, and under the History from Home Kids Corner page, you can download some cursive handwriting pages. Don't forget to take photos of your great work and send it to us. You can share it with us on Facebook, or you can email us at info@westonhistoricalsociety.org. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another History from Home Kids Corner video.